Hi, thanks for tuning in again. Back with another vlog. This one's a little bit more relaxed. I've just got back from 4 days in Scotland. Well, actually 3 days in Scotland and a day in the Lake District by Ullswater on the way up. I just want to show you some pictures, talk to you about a few things. I've got a couple of books to recommend and also a really good place to stay if you're ever thinking of going to that area. You can see a picture behind me. So we had quite a successful trip. Weather wasn't brilliant, but that's Scotland, and I actually think it really suited the images. So without further ado, let's play the intro. So 2 weeks ago it was half term, and being a teacher it was nice to get away. I was supposed to go to Dorset, but my wife hurt her a knee, so I booked at the last minute a trip to Glencoe. I drove up. I live in Essex, so I drove up to the Lake District, which is a 4-hour drive, and stayed at a travel lodge in Penrith, which is just down the road from Ullswater. So I thought, well, as I'm there, I'll do a sunset and then maybe a sunrise the next day. So I took with me this book, A Photographer's Guide, which I've used before. A lot of people say about shooting in other photographers' tripod marks, but to be fair, I think it's really good for local knowledge. The pages you get, the where to park, the kind of image you might get when you get there. It kind of, I was after this kind of thing, so it was really nice to know where to go. When I got there, I had a little look round, a bit of a scouting mission, shot a sunset picture, and also then woke up in the morning and decided I knew where I was going to be for sunrise. So sunrise came, I parked in the lay-by that I'd scouted out, and then had a little wander around in the dark with a head torch on, and managed to get some really nice light, which you can see here. So tripod marks of other photographers, possibly. To be honest, I just used the book to find out what Ullswater looked like from that side, because I've not really driven around that side before. So it was really, really useful. But I would say that once I was on the shoreline, I did my own thing. I was looking for foreground, leading lines, etc., etc. And of course, the light is what the light is. You can't create it any differently. So I was pleased with the images anyway. So then a 3-hour trip up to Glencoe. I stopped for petrol and a bit of breakfast. And the next stop was the Black Rock Cottage, which I photographed before. This was probably the best photograph I've taken of the cottage. I know that is a very classic shot, pretty much shot from the same area. I've seen a couple of slightly different ones, but over the years, the only different really is either whether it's got snow on it or what the clouds are like. So these are the conditions I found. It was raining. I managed to get a shot without anything on the lens. The Fuji is waterproof or weatherproof, which is really useful as it proved to be in the rest of the week. But I'm quite pleased with this one. So after Black Rock Cottage, the next thing I thought I'd do was photograph the buckle, because it's really quite close. It's the next road down. And this is where, again, the debate rages. Should I have photographed that? Everybody's done it. It's not original, I know, but I'm not a professional photographer. I'm a keen enthusiast. I enjoy taking pictures. I haven't got a good picture of that. I've actually printed up the pictures I got from there, so it was certainly worth it for that, for me. The debate about that it goes on for a while, but without the book and a little search around the internet, I wouldn't have found where that waterfall is, and I wouldn't have had so much pleasure that I had in that afternoon. So anyway, I make no apologies, I suppose, for it. It was a dark and moody, rainy afternoon. I love photographing it. There were two guys there when I was there, and I'm sure they got great pictures as well. But this is my version. And then in the evening I went to Loch Leven, again somewhere I've been before, but I had a little wander around the shoreline. So this is probably more original, I guess. I mean, I knew the Papa Glencoe would be in the distance, and there'd be a nice background, which in East Anglia you don't get an awful lot of mountains, so it's always a pleasure to photograph those. I wandered around the shoreline, very pleasant evening, found some lovely slate, which I've found there before, and I shot this, which I really like. I even managed to fly a drone. So I stayed overnight in my accommodation. I'll put a link below, but these pictures of it. Absolutely fantastic little pod with a hot tub and a wonderful, wonderful place to stay. The breakfast was brilliant because they deliver it to your outside your pod, so you can have it whenever you want, which is really useful. So I found in the past that when I've been taking sunrise shots, I'll go out and do sunrise and want to hang about while the light's nice, but you find yourself having to rush back for breakfast. So it was really, really good to be coming back to my pod about 10:30 and having my breakfast then. Absolutely perfect. Nobody disturbed me. It was a really, really lovely place to stay, so I'd heartily recommend that. Now the next day was rainy all day, which is not the worst thing in the world. I did discover that my camera is weatherproof, although I also discovered that my 10-24 isn't actually officially weatherproof, but it was on the camera a lot and got rained on a lot and is absolutely fine. So brilliant, well done Fuji. I started off the day in Glencoe, took some shots out the window. And ended it in Castle Stalker. The rain had cleared up on the other side of the mountain range a little bit. I got some nice pictures on the way there, including this one. And then at Castle Stalker, I parked up and the light was fantastic, but there was a huge, great grey cloud coming in, as you can see from this. And I shot two pictures and then it tipped it down for about half an hour. And after that cloud had passed, we had some really nice gentle light in the evening. So the next day, the forecast was supposed to be 30% rain, chance of rain, cloudy. And I thought that was a reasonable chance to get a good sunrise. Now, the shot I wanted to get was that one, okay. Again, the book was really useful, it told me where to park. I'd sussed it out the day before when it was raining. I thought what the path would be, but I did make a mistake, which I will tell you about after you've seen the picture. But the next morning, I decided to vlog from the car. So I'm going to switch now to me actually on location.
Good morning. I'm in Glencoe and I wasn't going to vlog this, but today, even though there's rain everywhere, it's supposed to not be raining quite so much. Been up here a couple of days. Yesterday, absolutely hammered down all day. Couldn't even think about vlogging, let alone photography really, although I did get some done. The video would have been very boring, 2 hours of me in the car, half asleep. Came out for sunrise, absolutely hammering down. Waited until 10, went back, had some breakfast, bought some new wellies because I realised that my wellies had a hole in. I must have slashed them on a rock or something the day before. And then went out again in the afternoon, got a few pictures from the car window, ended up at Castle Stalker, which was okay, but again the weather, let me just turn my wipers off, hideous. Because the Castle Stalker was good, the light was nice, but again rain was a real problem, everything was soaked. I went to bed and the forecast was for 70% rain today, so I didn't really hold out much hope, but I've woken up and it's changed to 20. And it's not raining very much, so I'm going to climb up a hill in a second. I parked up on the lay-by, got an hour's walk ahead of me. Here we go.
So we're aiming to get a view of that today, and to get to that I'm going to climb up here. Oh, I'm nearly at the top. This is going to have to do. Exhausting, but what a view. What a view. Don't think I'm going to need any filters today, it's very even. If anything, I'll use a little bit of grading. That's where I should have been, but man, it's just steep. Never know what clothing to wear. I've got thermal long johns, thermal vest, and then a jumper, body warmer, wrap coat which isn't weatherproof, baseball jacket which is. It's raining a bit at the moment. Sunrise in another 15 minutes away, so I'll wait it out for a little bit around. Rain's coming from that way. Shooting that way. Rain's where are we? Rain's coming over there, this way. So I might be alright with it with the lens on. We'll see. Luckily the XT2 is waterproof, and so is the 16 to 55mm. I used a 10-24mm yesterday all day. They got absolutely drenched. I was convinced they were all weatherproof, and so a kind guy on Facebook told me that it wasn't. When I looked it up, he was right. But it's all working fine. I think as long as you don't bash it and dry it off as soon as you can, then everything's fine. Filters, on the other hand, it's impossible to do long exposures because 10-second exposure you're going to get a raindrop. So I've given up with that. But to be honest, who needs a long exposure when you've got this lovely mist? Let's just hope it clears up a little bit. Back to you in a bit. So the lights come out, not over there where I was thinking. There, look at that. Beautiful. Lovely kick in the belly. I'm just going to wait for the other mountain to free up, but I've taken some pictures already. Oh, what a day. I'm tired, I'm knackered, it's cold. I am wet, but what a great time to be out. Let's have a look what I get. I'm going to show you the picture now. So here's the finished print. Excuse the reflections. Yeah, really pleased with that. The thing I was saying about my thumbs on the way down, you may have heard me talking in the video about buying new wellies, which I got in Fort William because mine had a hole in. So I'd read that it was quite muddy, quite wet and slippery and horrible. So I climbed up the hill and I went up the side. I've since discovered, I think really when I was down, that I'd gone up the side. Right, what I should have done was rather than head straight for the summit, I should have gone left and up a ridge line, but I actually just crawled straight up with my camera bag on the back and wellies on, which were good to keep my feet dry. But unfortunately on the way down I stood on some grass which was on top of a rock which was quite long, very slippery, and I actually went over backwards, and my instincts were to save my camera bag, so I put my hand underneath my back, and I think it must be my 50 to 140 lens, it smashed my thumb. I'll put a picture up in a second of it, but I kind of thought I'd broken it for a second, took my glove off and realised I could still move it. But it went a very funny colour, and I was struggling to open any package or anything. So I suppose the message is to scout and then scout some more. I was fairly sure I knew how to get up the mountain, but what I hadn't bargained with was actually how to climb the mountain. It was probably the highest thing I've been up. I'm a fit guy, I think, 54 years old. I work out a lot, but you can see how exhausted I was climbing up the side of that. So a bit scary on the way back. But when I got back, the light was good. Well, it was moody. I think you can have all sorts of different light, but I think really Glencoe doesn't really, for me, suit a lovely, beautiful sunset. It suits that mood that I had that day with low clouds, heavy, imposing. I had the same feeling at Elgar when I was on Skye a few years ago. Had an absolutely cracking sunset, but it didn't really seem to suit the mood of the place. So I'm really pleased with those images. I also took a picture of the hut. I can't remember the name. It's Langerbath, I think is what it's called. Excuse me if it isn't. And the River Coople running through the valley, which I'll put the picture up at the end, which you can have a look at as well. So a good trip, a 9-hour trip back to Norfolk, because I was staying at my holiday home after that. So a long day the next day, but I absolutely loved that trip. I love my photography. It's really, really good to get out there with no dogs, no company whatsoever, just me and my car. So yeah, so a really good trip. Thanks again for watching. If you got this far, well done. I've answered some comments that people have left, so I really appreciate those. Thanks ever so much. Keep asking the questions if you have anything else to ask me. I always reply to you. Until next time, please subscribe if you haven't. Ring the bell so anything I put up from now on you'll get notification of. Until next time, here's some more pictures. See you again.